Before we start, viewer discretion is strongly advised. This video is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only.
It is day 2 of the Sean Diddy Combs federal trial. Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, she is one of Combs' many accusers, testifying as a central witness.
Is she ready?
Very ready and confident. Thank you.
Among other things, the singer is expected to address the 2016 video of Combs attacking her in a hotel when she was his girlfriend.
The courtroom went silent. Cassie dropped a bombshell no one expected. And Diddy? He lost it, screaming, slamming the table, and almost getting kicked out of his own trial. This wasn't just another celebrity drama. This might be the end of a music mogul's empire. Hey guys, welcome back to Gossip Goblin, your twisted little corner for the wildest celeb news on the internet. And today, we're diving into a courtroom scene so intense, it felt like a Hollywood thriller. Cassie Ventura versus Sean Diddy Combs. And trust me, this is the one story you need to hear all the way to the end.
When she walked in there, Rachel, she had on a brown dress, form-fitting, visibly pregnant, head held high, and did not make any eye contact with the defendant, with Sean Combs. She said that Sean Combs directed everything from what she had on, to the lighting in the room, to how she was supposed to interact with the person that she was having sex with. And again, just to reiterate what is a freak-off, the freak-off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism, wanting to watch her have sex with someone else. And she said that she did it because she was 22, 21, she was young, she didn't know any better, and that she wanted to please Sean Combs.
Among other things, the singer is expected to address the 2016 video of Combs attacking her in a hotel when she was his girlfriend. Combs has pleaded not guilty. His attorneys argue the video is evidence of jealousy, not sex trafficking. And now for the first time, jurors are hearing what Cassie has to say about that and other aspects of their 10-year relationship.
Before we get into the drama, let's rewind a bit. Cassie Ventura isn't just some random ex. She was a rising star in the early 2000s. Model, dancer, singer. Her hit Me and You blew up in 2006 and put her on the map. But behind the scenes, her career was tightly connected to Diddy. He discovered her, signed her, and became her mentor. And then, her boyfriend. What looked like a fairy tale from the outside turned out to be something much darker. Cassie has always been quiet about their relationship. But now, she's telling it all, and the details are chilling. And for years, no one knew just how deep this went. Until now.
And at some point in time, she actually had said that she looked forward to the freak-offs. Why did Cassie express looking forward to these said freak-offs?
When the prosecution asked her, was there ever a time that you enjoyed the freak-offs? This is when Cassie got choked up and she said, I did, but only because I got to spend one-on-one time with Combs, and I really did love him.
And that is speaking to the psychological abuse, in addition to the physical abuse that she potentially experienced.
Yeah, she's definitely laying out someone who was young, who was influenced by wanting to have this record career. She signed a 10-album deal with Bad Boy Entertainment, led by Sean Combs, and basically describes being enamored by Sean Combs, loving him, not knowing about certain things sexually, and him sort of telling her, teaching her about that. And what you hear is someone that was young and she even said, you know, I was young, I was naive, I didn't know any better. But she's really telling the story of someone who thought she was going to be with someone in this music industry that was going to help her career, that cared about her, but quickly learned after the freak-offs that wasn't the case. And what I thought was also interesting is she said that after that first freak-off, she said she felt dirty. She didn't want to do it. And when she brought up the idea of having a conversation about the freak-offs in an email, which the jurors saw, she said she backpedaled in the email because Combs responded by saying, I know, you don't want to do it. And she said, oh no, well, it's not that. But that was the beginning. That was in 2010, where she brings up in an email that she wanted to have a conversation about this. And in her words, she didn't want to do it, but she felt like she had to do it.
The next morning, Cassie took photos of her injuries. Bruises on her arms, redness around her neck, a split lip. These weren't glam shots. They were blurry, taken in a bathroom mirror. But that made them feel even more real. Diddy's lawyers fought hard to keep those photos out of the courtroom. They argued they couldn't be verified, or they should have been submitted earlier. But the judge wasn't having it. The photos were shown to the jury, And the reaction was instant. One juror covered her mouth in shock. 2 others couldn't even look at the screen. One juror started writing so fast her hand was shaking. This was the moment everyone knew. This wasn't just about gossip anymore. This was serious.
Well, Diane, prosecutors have wasted no time getting right into the alleged abuse that Cassie Ventura says she endured for years. Ventura telling jurors, quote, "He would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down." She also got into the nature of those so-called freak-offs, saying that they involved hiring an escort and they performed under the direction of Combs, saying that they happened so frequently it eventually became a job for her to set them up. Ventura said she did not feel she had much of a choice but to participate, that she feared that Combs would retaliate or potentially blackmail her if she did not. And she's had at times to take, she's taken deep breaths, pausing her testimony, Combs appearing to be listening pretty passively with his hands in his lap at the defense table there.
Then came another bombshell. Cassie talked about a terrifying night at Diddy's Hamptons house. She said he threw a champagne bottle at her, barely missed, shattered against the wall, he flipped a table, broke a lamp, punched a hole in a bathroom door. And worst of all, she said he kept her trapped in that house for 2 full days. No phone, no way out. She said he threatened her if she tried to get help. When she told the court this part, all eyes turned to Diddy. And that's when everything changed.
Cassie's relationship with Diddy. Some of those details we've seen in prior lawsuits, but to hear her on the stand actually giving those details, reliving those moments herself. Also, you have to remember, she's very pregnant right now. So I'm gonna be curious to see how long she makes it on the stand, how she's emotionally able to weather all of these questions. And what's going to be interesting to watch is, you know, the defense from the very start in their opening statement said that she chose to be there. So I'm going to be curious to see how she responds to questions about, was this her choice or did she feel like she had to do all of these things?
I think what made Cassie emotional is having to describe the details of the freak-off and why she did it. When she talked about wanting to do it to please Sean Combs, that's when she broke down. Up until that point, she had just been answering the questions. She's a little soft-spoken at times, but that's when she got emotional. When she had to answer the question about if she enjoyed it, that's when she broke down because she said, "I enjoyed being with Sean Combs." And she says, "I did it because it made him happy."
What did the expressions of the jurors look like?
The jurors are laser focused on what Cassie has to say. And that's to be expected, right? Because she is the person who will likely be on the stand, according to attorneys, for 2, maybe 3 days. She's the one that was in the relationship with Sean Combs for over 10 years. So she's got a lot to say, and she's just getting started.
Just how important is Cassie's testimony to the prosecution?
I think it really connects the dots, Rachel. When you look at that initial indictment and what's being alleged, she really is the person that has probably the most information about this idea that the prosecution says, which is creating a criminal enterprise for Sean Combs' sexual desires. Something else that the jurors saw today that sort of connects it back to this alleged criminal enterprise are 7 photos of people that were very close to Sean Combs, one even his former chief of staff. And these were all people that Cassie Ventura was able to name and explain the functions in terms of what they did: security, driver, chief of staff, someone that handled financials. So it's showing that she knew some of these people, again, because she was with him, around him for so long.
Diddy's been in the game for decades. He's always been the cool, calm mogul. But today, that mask finally cracked. As Cassie kept talking, people watched him literally shrink in his chair. His lawyers tried to calm him, even passed him a note that said, "Stay calm," in all caps. But it didn't work. When Cassie mentioned recordings, yes, actual audio of Diddy threatening her family, he lost it. He stood up, pointed at her, yelled, "You know that's not how it happened." It took 3 of his lawyers to pull him back down. The judge slammed the gavel and called for a recess. And the courtroom, stunned. Diddy, the untouchable, was unraveling in front of everyone. Just when you thought it couldn't get wilder, Cassie revealed she had saved text messages. From WHO, you ask? Celebrities, famous people, people in Diddy's own circle. One rapper texted her after a Grammy party. "You okay? What I saw tonight wasn't right." A female pop star messaged, He's never acted like that with anyone else. This isn't normal. A longtime producer said, "I can't be around this anymore. Call me when you're safe." And then, Diddy's own messages. One read, "I'm sorry about last night. You know how I get when I drink?" Another said, "Whatever you need to make this right, car, apartment, just name it." That's not just messy, that's potentially criminal.
I think what the defense is going to say is that this wasn't blackmail, this was not coercion, this was consensual. We know that Cassie started out with Sean Combs as an early person, with someone who is trying to get her career started, and he was going to help her. That's what the defense is going to say, that she was starting out and wanted someone to support her. They did their first record deal together. That's something I think the defense is going to focus on, and had it not been for Sean Combs, she wouldn't be where she is right now. The prosecution obviously is saying he was in control. It may have started out as a consensual. It may have started out with her being excited about seeing him, but ultimately he took control of that relationship. He took control of her career. This is their key witness, and she's on that stand trying to explain all of the charges that the prosecution wants to hit home with that jury.
No, there was a moment early on when Cassie mentioned Dallas Austin, who she called a friend who's a producer. So I don't know if that's someone that we're going to hear from. We know that there were pictures shown to prospective jurors that are well-known celebrities, you know, Kanye West, Kid Cudi, Lauren London. We don't know, though, how they fit yet into why they were even asked, do you know these people? Are you familiar with them?
So the prosecution is questioning Cassie right now, still questioning her.
The defense hasn't even got a chance to, I mean, that might change based on the timing, but, you know, because she's such a key witness, it's likely that she will be on that stand the rest of the day. We learned that Cassie referred to him as Pop Pop, and Sean Combs would refer to her as CC. The prosecution says, what does CC stand for? She said Cassie Combs.
What kind of witness is Cassie coming off as to the jurors?
I think naturally when you look at her visually, people see that she's pregnant and looking like she's due any day now. So they might, you know, have empathy, sympathy for her in that way, but we don't really know. We know that they've been instructed to be fair and impartial. As to what type of witness she's coming off as, she's describing someone that she was, someone she said that was trying to figure out who she was at that time and who she was allowed to be. Now you're looking at somebody that's almost 40 years old, totally different person, but even in describing what was going on at her at that time, taking drugs, trying to please Sean Combs, she's really just sort of laying out the case for her not having a lot of control. So I think that's the takeaway. This is someone who is making it very clear that at that particular time in her life, she says she did not have any control really over what she wore, what she did, who she was having sex with. She's a different person now. But I think when she talks about those details and even reflecting on them for herself, as we saw today, she broke down in that courtroom.
Now here's where things get symbolic. Diddy walked into court with a full entourage, friends, associates, staff. But by the time Cassie's testimony was done, one by one, they started leaving silently. When those celebrity texts were read out loud, people who had known him for years couldn't sit there anymore. By the end of the day, Diddy was sitting alone, just him and his legal team. No more friends, no more show of support. It was the clearest sign yet. His empire might be falling. So, what does this all mean? Well, let's be real. Even if Diddy beats this case legally, his image, his career, might never recover. The recordings, the texts, the breakdown in court, the entourage walking out. It's the kind of downfall we've only seen with names like Harvey Weinstein or R. Kelly, and it's part of a bigger trend. People are finally speaking out. Powerful men who once controlled the industry are being held accountable, and the internet, it's watching every second. What happens next? Will other celebrities speak out? Will more victims come forward? We'll be watching, because this trial could change everything. So what do you think? Is this the end for Diddy? Do you believe Cassie's story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and slap that notification goblin so you never miss the next juicy drop from Gossip Goblin. Until next time, stay nosy, stay messy, and remember, when the tea's this hot, we serve it goblin style.